This is what's going to take you from beginner makeup to advanced. My goal for today's video is to skip all the pointless chatter and get straight to the point on how to achieve a full face of makeup. And believe me, this will be super easy to accomplish. I'm going to go super in depth on the products to use, the makeup brushes to use, all that good stuff. So if you're interested, just continue to watch. Alright guys, so let's get right into this video. I'm actually excited to film this today. I already did my brows off camera. I feel like brows is just something personal. Everyone has their different brow routine. So the first thing, guys, is your primer. All right, so you guys are asking, what is a primer? So a primer acts as your base. This is the first product in terms of your makeup that you should be applying on your face. This acts as a barrier between your natural skin and the makeup. You don't want to go in with your foundation, your concealer, your powders on your skin. You are going to, for one, see texture right away. You're going to allow that makeup to really seep into your skin, and that is a reason for a lot of breakouts. So any of you who claim that, oh, makeup breaks me out and all that stuff, primer is literally that base. It helps to just keep the makeup on the primer so that you have a really nice, flawless makeup look. So we have primers for normal to dry skin. We have primers for oily skin. We have primers for combination skin. I say this in all my videos. You really need to boil down to really learning you and your skin. If you are someone who has dry skin, you want to pick up a hydrating primer. So anything that claims hyaluronic acid. Hyaluronic acid is something that someone who has dry skin would want to pick up in terms of primer. If you have oily skin, you want to go for more mattifying primers. And when I say oily skin, I'm talking about everywhere, like your whole face, like it's just oily. And then if you are combination skin, and you are open to even using two different types of primers. So with primer, you basically apply it all over your skin just like a skincare product. I have my Milk Hydro Grip primer, and I honestly feel like this is an all-around good primer for oily, dry combination skin. This is oil-free and hydrating, so I feel like it will work for just about anybody. I have a dupe version in the Essence. This is the Essence Fix and Last Jelly Primer. Literally the same thing, but cheaper. So I'm going to be going in with my Hydro Grip primer today. And like I said, you have the option of applying it all over or in your T-zone. You honestly just need to know what your personal skin needs. Like I said, I usually like to focus my primer in my T-zone, so that is what we are doing today. All right, so after you have done applying your primer, you are now ready to move on to your foundation. So we move in steps, sis. So primer, now we're at foundation. Foundation is essentially your base times 2. So this base is what's going to really bring your skin to one even complexion and really even out your skin. A foundation is essentially used to conceal dark marks, acne marks, discoloration, hyperpigmentation, things on your skin that you want to just create that even canvas. Now there are different types of foundations. So going back to learning our skin, if you are dry skin, you want to aim for choosing a luminous or hydrating foundation. Those tend to do really good for dry skin. If you are an oily skin person, you would want to use something more mattifying. So it's similar to your primer. Whatever you use as your primer is the same kind of concept when it comes to your foundation. So I do have a video on my channel on how to choose the perfect foundation for your skin type, your skin tone, and your skin undertone. This is the #1 video that you need to watch if you are having struggles choosing a foundation. So if you haven't checked that out, I'll leave it on the cards above for you to check out. So for today, I'm going to be using the Haus Labs Triclone Skin Tech Foundation. This is one of my go-tos. I love this foundation. And this one is in the shade 480, medium deep neutral. So for foundation, what I advise is applying some to the back of your hand. I like to go in with one pump, and one pump just allows me to start with something really small, but if you do want that extra coverage, you can go in with a second pump. Now lately I've been going in with my Merit Beauty Complexion brush. I love this brush. It glides my makeup on smoothly, but you can also go in with a beauty sponge. So I have my e.l.f. beauty sponge here, or a brush. So you'd want to go in with a dense brush, something along the lines of this. This is another example of something more dense. This is the Haus Labs foundation brush that actually goes with this corresponding foundation. So this side I'm going to use my brush, and I like to just tap that product in on the back of my hand, really warm it up and apply it on the brush. And then I like to work on the outer perimeter of my skin. So I like to use dabbing motions, stippling motions is what you really call it in the makeup world. And that is just going to allow that makeup to really glide smoothly on your face and give you that really flawless skin-like finish. So you guys see here, this is one layer of that foundation. Like I said, working in sections allows you to really just determine how much product you're putting on your face. And when it comes to foundation, you do not need to worry about putting your foundation underneath your eyes. That is the least of your worries because we are going to be going in with concealer for our under eyes. So you really want to just focus your outer area here and your forehead. And with the excess on your brush, you can just tap it on your nose. All right, so I'm gonna go in with a second layer just to show you guys how to apply it using your beauty sponge. So I'm gonna take another pump on the back of my hand, and with your beauty sponge, you don't wanna do what you did with the brush by going in like this. It's going to soak right on up out of that sponge. So you want to take some of that product and just apply it to your skin in, I guess, little dots like I am doing here, and then you go in with your beauty sponge. And I recommend using the butt end of your sponge. That just allows it to really blend out evenly. And again, you are using stippling motions to blend this in. And I forgot to mention, when you go in with your sponge, you want to make sure your sponge is damp. You don't want it to be soaking wet. You don't want it to be dry. This just allows your foundation to blend into your skin really seamlessly. All right, guys, so we have our foundation on. Next step is your concealer. So what is a concealer? A concealer is used to conceal. It honestly says it all in its name. Conceal, cover. So places on our face that we like to conceal is under our eyes. We all deal with dark under eyes, dark bags. So the number one reason we use concealer is to conceal our under eyes. Another reason is to conceal any hyperpigmentation or dark spots on your skin. A lot of people like to go in with concealer before their foundation to do a bit of spot correcting. You can do the spot correcting afterwards as well. Another reason is to highlight. So when we talk about highlighting, we are bringing back the natural highlights to our skin. When we put foundation on our skin, we tend to get rid of the natural hollows and highlights of our face. The shadows, all of that stuff disappears once you put foundation on your face. So the whole reason for going in with concealer and highlighting is to bring that back. I know a lot of beginners just tend to go out with their foundation on their face, which is all fine and dandy. No rules to makeup, but you essentially just got rid of all the shadows and highlights to your face. So that's where highlighting comes in. So for highlighting, you want to go in with a concealer that is 2 to 3 shades lighter than your complexion. So for example, an OG is the LA Girl Pro Concealer, and they have a range of shades to choose from. There is literally a shade for everyone. So if you know that your concealer to conceal, so this is your skin tone concealer, is maybe chestnut, you would go 3 shades down to find your highlight color. And on top of that, you need to know your undertone. So I do have 2 options here. I have my LA Girl Pro Concealer just to show you guys, and then I have my Rimmel Multitasking Concealer. So you guys could see they're literally around the same shade, just 2 different products. So when you're applying concealer to highlight, you want to look at your skin. The way you apply highlight could depend on your face shape as well. For me, I'm looking straight at my ring light. So my ring light is really showing me where the light is hitting my face. So you guys could see already on my forehead, this area here is where I would want to highlight. All under here is where I would want to highlight. My chin and a little bit in this inner corner around my cupid's bow as well. So that's essentially where you want to highlight your skin. So I'm going to be going in with this concealer, and I like to work in sections. As a beginner, I highly recommend working in sections. Don't go in with all the lines on your face. So what you want to do is focus the concealer in your inner corner. And I like to put a little bit on the sides of my nose because that is going to act as my nose contour later on. And then for that extra coverage, you can wait about 2 minutes while it gets tacky on your skin. And you can either go in with your makeup sponge or your concealer brush. So if you're going to go in with your sponge, you would want to use the tip end and start with blending out the edges. If you're going in with your concealer brush, a concealer brush to me is always like a mini foundation brush. It's literally just shorter, smaller, and stubbier, but it still has that dense grip to it for you to blend out your concealer. You can go in with either one. I'm going to show you how to blend it out with your brush on this side and the sponge on this side. So you want to start with blending out the edges, and again you're using stippling motions to blend it out, and then I like to drag that up and work on the outer edge here. And then we just connect everything at that point and really just take our time blending. I feel like blending is like the number one thing you need to learn and have patience for as well when doing your makeup. All right, so just like that, that is how you blend out your concealer. So I'm going to go in with the sponge on this side, and we're going to do literally the same thing, starting with the outer edge and just blending it out. So just like that, we got the same result using two different tools. So I'm going to go ahead and highlight the other areas of our face. So I'm going to highlight my forehead, down the bridge of my nose. I just like to do a line down my nose, my Cupid's bow, and my chin. And you guys are seeing I'm not applying too much product to these areas. You really don't need to go in with too much product. So I'm just going to take my brush and blend out the rest. And you don't want to go too far out with your concealer. You don't want to bring your concealer all the way up here. That's reserved for your contour. Your highlight is literally just in this little section above your brows. All right, guys, I'm ready to head out the house. Definitely not. You guys are seeing all the harsh, look at my forehead. Not blended, not blended. So you want to go back in with your foundation brush. Your foundation brush already has your foundation residue on it, like there's still extra product on it, and that is what's going to help blend everything so that it looks really seamless. So what you want to do is go over the edges of your concealer. This is just going to allow everything to really look really seamless and blended. This is what's going to take you from beginner makeup to advanced. All right, so before I move on from the concealer, we're going to use the concealer for one more thing, and that is to shape the brows and really just prime the eyelids. My eyelids are looking really dark right now, so that's another reason for using concealer. So I'm going to go in with a flat brush. This just allows me to really shape my brows and really get that precision that I want underneath my brows. I like to just take some from my concealer and then go in with just really shaping my brows. Let me know if you guys want an updated eyebrow tutorial. I could definitely do that for you guys. My brow routine has definitely got a lot more easier along the years, like really super easy, less steps. I just realized that less is more. So I'm just taking my concealer brush and really just blending that concealer down towards my eyelids because I'm going to conceal my eyelids as well. All right, so taking that concealer, we're just gonna apply it on the lids as well. You don't need to put too much because you pretty much did most of the work with your brows, and you just wanna just conceal your eyelids as well. And you could just blend it in with everything else to give a really even canvas. Alright guys, so now that we've finished our concealer, we can now move on to contour. So what is contour? A contour is pretty much bringing back your shadows to your face. So when we talk about shadows, we're talking about the outer perimeter of our face. So around where our forehead is, our cheekbones, our jawline, the sides of our nose, these are considered areas on our face that it's shadows. So you want to bring that back with your contour. So when it comes to your contour, you want to choose something that is 2 to 3 shades darker than your foundation. So when it comes to concealer, we're talking about 2 to 3 shades lighter. When it comes to contour, we're talking about 2 to 3 shades darker. So for contour, I have my Fenty matchstick. This is an OG. Go back to some of my oldest videos. I did a whole tutorial on this Fenty matchstick when it first came out, and that video blew up. Love, love, love this. It is the matchstick in the shade Espresso. This was literally like my perfect undertone, my perfect shade, everything when it comes to a contour. A cheaper alternative is my NYX Wonder Stick. So this comes with a contour shade on one side and a highlighter shade on the other side, which I've actually never used. Like, you can see I've honestly never touched that. I can't even explain to you why. So when applying your contour, you want to apply your contour really lightly. Contour is dark. You don't want to go in with so much product when it comes to your contour. So I would recommend taking your time. So what you would want to do is create a really short line. Find your jawline. You don't need to bring your contour all the way down here. This is unacceptable actually if you do it. You really want to just create a small line. Find your jawline. Jawline honestly really starts at the top of your ears and just slightly going down. So you just want to find that and create a really small line. You also want to apply on your forehead. Now if you have a really big forehead, you definitely want to contour. Contour will give the illusion of a smaller forehead. I love to do this because my forehead just be foreheading some days. It's just really out of hand, so that contour really comes in handy. I also like to apply it down the bridge of my nose. Again, really light strokes. You don't want to go in with too much. And then the jaw. And those are essentially just the areas that you want to contour. You don't need to do too much when it comes to contour. So when it comes to the brush or the tool to use for your contour, you can either use a brush or you can go in with your beauty sponge again. Honestly, optional. I love a beauty sponge because it really just helps to blend out the product really seamlessly. Definitely would recommend a beauty blender actually for beginners, but you can also use a brush as well. On this side, I'll use my brush. So when you are blending out your contour, you want to blend up. You don't want to blend down. When you blend up, you are giving yourself a more lifted cheekbone. So I'm blending, I'm tapping it in, but I'm also pushing the product up, just like that. And I like to apply it on the sides of my face as well. I just take the excess that's on it and just apply it here. And then when it comes to your forehead, you want to blend your contour into your hairline. You don't want to bring it down and mess up your highlight. And then for your jawline, you want to keep that contour literally in your jawline. You don't want to bring it down onto your neck and you don't want to bring it up onto your face. So you just want to keep it on that jawline. And you guys are seeing firsthand how easily the Fenty Matchstick is able to blend out. So if I were to recommend something for beginners, definitely the Fenty Matchstick. All right, so for this side, I'm going to use my beauty sponge and I'm going to take the back end. And again, we're doing the same thing. We're blending the product up while still blending it out, and then again into our hairline. All right, and when it comes to your nose contour, I would recommend a small angled brush like this. This works wonders for me. This just allows you to really get in the area and keep that product on the sides of your nose and not wandering everywhere else. And it just really blends out the contour. So if I recommend anything, is an angled brush. Okay guys, so we pretty much highlighted and contoured our skin. So now we're moving on to our setting powder. So when it comes to setting powder, there are a lot of different setting powders to choose from. So what is a setting powder? A setting powder is used to set your creams and your liquids. You cannot go out of the house without applying your powder. It's going to melt off of your face. It's not going to be set in place. It's going to be all this work for nothing. So you definitely want to go in with powder. It will essentially just allow your makeup to last all day. So like I said, there's different types of setting powders. There's translucent setting powders. There's mattifying setting powders. So depending on your skin type, you want to choose something that works for your skin. If you are someone who is darker toned like myself, I highly recommend translucent deep setting powders. Those work wonders. You don't have to deal with flashback or it looking cakey or anything like that. So I have two powders that I like to interchange between, and they are both considered translucent deep setting powders. So this one here is the Black Radiance True Complexion Setting Powder. This is in the shade Honeymoon. This one here is the CoverGirl Clean and Visible Setting Powder. This is in translucent deep, and again, it's giving yellow undertone. So that's what I aim for when going in with the setting powder. So for setting powder, you essentially are applying it in all of the areas that you highlighted. So your forehead, underneath your eyes, down the bridge of your nose, your cupid's bow, and your chin. This is just going to set all of those areas in place. So I like to go in with one of these sponges. I bought this off of Amazon in a pack of 5 for less than $10, guys. Very affordable and it lasts. You can reuse them, you can wash them. Definitely a game changer. But you can also go in with your beauty sponge that you've been using for pretty much all your makeup applications. So you can definitely go in with this as well. So I like to take some of that powder onto my powder puff, and I like to go in on the back of my hand on the areas that don't have the foundation, of course, and just take off that excess powder. You don't want to go in with too much powder. You can always go on top of it and add more, but when you go in with too much right away, you definitely don't want that. So I highly recommend just doing this method to get rid of that excess powder. Now before you go in with that powder, I recommend blending out your creases. You never want to set your creases with powder. All right, so now you're ready to go in with that powder, and all you're doing is dabbing it into your skin until it disappears. And you don't want to bring that powder beyond where you applied that concealer on the sides of your nose. You want to bring it just where you applied it and blend it out. So you guys see how that gave me a really nice smooth canvas compared to this side. Now we could do the rest of our highlighted areas. So the forehead, down the bridge of our nose, cupid's bow, and the chin. I know you guys see the makeup coming together. You guys are probably like, Alright, so the next step is going in with your bronzer. So your bronzer is going to bring back that warmth to your skin on the areas that you contoured. So you have the option of going in with a bronzer such as the L'Oreal Infallible Bronzer that I have here, or you have the option to go in with a contour powder. So this is the Black Radiance True Complexion Contour Palette, and I would normally go in with this, but I do want to show you guys how to use a bronzer today. So I'm going to be using this bronzer by L'Oreal. This is in the shade Dark 500, and the brush you want to use is an angled contour brush. So something like this. It's very fluffy, but it does have an angle so that you're able to apply it in those areas that you can contour. So you would use this when going in with contour powder, with bronzer, and things of that sort. So I'm going to dip into this powder, and all we're doing is applying it in all the areas that we cream contoured. This is just going to bring back some warmth to the skin as well as set that cream contour that you applied. And then for the nose contour, I'm going to go back in with my mini angled brush, dip into that powder, dust off the excess, and just set where I cream contoured my nose as well. So your nose contour may look a little harsh, and that's why I would recommend going back in with your sponge or your powder puff and just going over that nose contour. This is just going to blend everything seamlessly so that it doesn't look crazy. All right, so we're gonna quickly move on to the eyes. So with that same bronzer, you just want to take a fluffy blending brush, something like this, and we're gonna dip into that bronzer and just apply it to our eyes. This is for days when we're not going in with any eyeshadow. Using your bronzer is like a quick way to just really put the eye look together. So all I'm doing is just applying that in my crease and really just blending it out. I do have on my channel really detailed videos on how to apply eyeshadow, so if you want, you can check those out. I'll leave it in the cards above. All right, so just like that, you really just did a little something for the eyes. So you guys see how I literally just powdered my entire face. Every inch of my face has powder on it. This is what you want to ensure when you're going in with your setting powder or your bronzer or your contour powder. So before I move on to the eyes, I want to finish up the complexion. So the last thing when it comes to your complexion is your blush. Your blush is what's going to bring back the color to your face, really make you look alive and hydrated. So I'm going to be going in with the Rimmel Maxi blush. This is in the shade Wild Card. And when it comes to blush, a blush can make or break your look. You really want to learn what blushes work well with your complexion. For a darker skin tone like myself, really nice muted pinks are really good. You don't want to go in with a light pink, something that's ashy. Oranges work well with our skin tone as well, so I would recommend leaning towards those shades when it comes to your blush. So I'm going to take my blush brush. This is pointed towards the tip so I can get right where I want to when it comes to my blush, and all I'm doing is just applying it on my cheekbones right above my contour. And then again, I go back in with this just to make sure everything is blended. All right, when it comes to the eyes, we want to keep this really simple. I'd recommend going in with a Kajal pencil. This is just really easy to work with rather than a liquid eyeliner. I know liquid eyeliner could be very intimidating to beginners, so definitely go in with a Kajal eye pencil. I'm going to be using the e.l.f. No Smudge eyeliner pencil, and all we're doing is just creating a really thin line across our lash line. So all I do is just use really small strokes to create that line, using your pinky as a guide on your face and a mirror, of course. You just want to create really soft strokes to just create a line across your lash line. And then using the same pencil, you could apply it to your bottom waterline as well. All right, so at this point, you could either go in with some false lashes like I'm going to be doing today, or you can go in with your mascara. All right, so I have my lashes on. At this point, you could apply your mascara. So I'm going to be using the L'Oreal Telescopic Lift Mascara, and I like to just apply this to my bottom lashes. This really just brings the look together, in my opinion. Something about doing your bottom lashes. All right, guys, we are almost done. Now we can move to the last and final steps, which are your lips and just setting everything. So when it comes to your lips, something very easy like a lip balm, a lip gloss, or a lip oil is something I would recommend. I like to line my lips with some brown lip liner first. Even if I'm going in with gloss, I just like to have that lined look. You honestly don't need to do this step. It's honestly optional. And then lip product of choice today is my Ole Henriksen Pout Preserve Lip Treatment. I've been loving this stuff. It smells so good. All right, so the last and final step is your setting spray. So a lot of people ask, what is the point of spraying water on all this work that you did? Like, you're spraying your face, you're wetting your face. What is the point? A setting spray is going to set your makeup in place. It's going to make it last longer, especially if you're going to be wearing your makeup for a long period of time. Without going in with a setting spray, you're really just taking that chance on whether your makeup is going to last or not. So if you're someone who has dry skin, a really nice hydrating, long-lasting setting spray is something you would lean towards. If you are someone who has oily skin, you would want to go for something more mattifying. I've been loving the One Size Until Dawn setting spray. This allows my makeup to last all day. So I'm just gonna quickly go in with this. And the reason I love this is because it doesn't leave that residue. It's really just a quick and easy setting spray that will lock your look in place. All right, guys, so that completes this makeup look. I went in depth on how to do a step-by-step guide on how to achieve a flawless makeup look like this one here. I went in depth. I showed you guys all the tools I use, all the products. Really wanted you guys to get it. So I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you haven't already checked out my most recent video on how to do a soft glam, please check it out. I'll leave it on the screen right here for you to check out. I go really in depth on the products used, again, the brushes and all that, how to apply it. So if you haven't, please watch that. But yeah, I hope you guys enjoyed, and I'll see you guys in my next one. Bye, guys.